Okay, 1, 2, 3. We're here with Dr. Alejandro Junger. Dr. Junger, such a pleasure to have you on here today. This podcast is hosted by myself, Michael. Truly a pleasure. I have to say, I've been looking at your Instagram and just following along. I've researched into you a bit. It's quite an interesting story. I love the book that you have created. I believe you even have some other books, but I want to take it, slow it down, and just learn about yourself, understand what is the story? Who is Alejandro Junger? What is your background? How did you get to where you are now to write such amazing books and have this impact in the medical field and other things? I'd love to learn about you and what the background is in the story.
Well, to begin with, thank you for having me, and nice to meet you too. As you said, my name is Alejandro Junger. I'm from Uruguay, South America, where I was born and raised and grew up in a tight-knit family. Ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to help people's suffering, and that took me to medical school in Uruguay. Okay. Once I graduated from medical school, I went to do my postgraduate training in New York at NYU. Downtown in New York, in Manhattan, and then at Lenox Hill Hospital. I did my internship and residency in internal medicine, and then my fellowship in cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
And the change in lifestyle, from living in a country where there basically were no supermarkets, food was real. We ate together as a family. We cooked our meals from scratch, to moving to New York, where I was on my own, and I was, in a hurry and under a lot of stress, working like a maniac, eating from the hospital cafeteria and on the run from vending machines. I started getting sick. I started with allergies that were originally seasonal, but then turned into an all year round problem, difficulty digesting, and then later on, depression. And at some point, at the end of my medical training, I decided to go to doctors because I was not feeling well. And I went to an allergist, to a gastroenterologist, and to a psychiatrist. And I was diagnosed with 3 diseases: severe allergies, severe depression, and severe irritable bowel syndrome. And I was given 7 prescription medications, which didn't make sense to me because by that time I was already a trained doctor, and I knew that medications in general don't correct the dysfunction by which these symptoms are manifesting. Okay. They actually just block the symptoms. So not only
they don't solve the issue, they kind of band-aid the issue.
That's another way of putting it. Exactly.
I hear you. Okay.
Yes. So not only it didn't make sense to me to start myself on medications, but it didn't make sense to me to do the same for my patients. So I started desperately looking for a different solution for myself, which took me around the world. I lived in a monastery in India for some time. Wow. And there I was exposed to Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, chiropractic medicine, osteopathy, naturopathy, meditation, Reiki, and a bunch of other modalities. And we used to see patients all together. So we used to integrate all our abilities and our knowledge, and then come up with a combined solution. So without knowing it, and this was many years ago, I was practicing integrative medicine, which then became, the fashionable thing to talk about.
Yeah,
in the United States. I was already doing it without even knowing what I was doing, because we were just interconsulting with all these,
you were naturally on the path to find the solution, and that's where you found yourself, in this monastery, right? And that's before it was cool. Today, you're right. Today, it's like I want to go to a cave somewhere and meditate for 5 months and learn all of these natural ways to heal myself inside, outside. It is definitely it has a hype around it to say, it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. So then I came back to the United States thinking that I was going to be able to practice in that way,
Okay.
and only to be confronted to the reality that when you are hired by a busy and prestigious cardiology practice like I was hired, um, you only really have a few minutes per patient because you have to see an X amount of patients, minimum a day, in order to be profitable for that practice,
Yes.
and which translates in the case when I was working to 7 minutes per patient.
Yeah, this is one of the
So
biggest complaints I feel when it comes to doctors. And it's not so much the doctor's fault, but in a way, it is the way it is set up that patients feel like they're just in like this vending machine kind of process. Not maybe that's not the best terminology, but they wait for 20 minutes, then they walk into a room, the doctor's with them for 5 or 10 minutes, walks right out before they even really, can get to, explaining or conversing or really speaking about how they feel. The door is almost closing in the office, right? They're on to the next one. I feel like I've heard this a bit myself. I'm not too savvy in this, and I'm not entirely accurate. That doesn't go for every doctor, but I feel like this experience is something that I've heard, from a.
you are mostly accurate. That's exactly what happens. And in those 7 minutes, a couple of those minutes or more are dedicated to writing prescriptions, because you have to do something in case there's a complication. Then the lawsuits come, and the malpractice lawsuits come, and the only established and accepted path is, oh, how come you didn't give him a medication? So if you don't give them medication, and then there is a problem, then you're sued,
Wow.
and this defensive practice of medicine, defensive against being sued, is the norm. That's the way medicine exists and operates in the United States, and maybe in many other countries around the
Yeah,
world.
very interesting the way from your perspective, like what I'm hearing, you almost have to do something. You have to write the prescription. Otherwise, it's like, right, they could, of course, give you an issue like, now I'm sick. You didn't write me the prescription. I came to your office, this, that, and the third. Very interesting.
So while I was practicing in that way, I started eating again. In the monastery, I was eating vegan food cooked with love, and meditating, and doing a little bit of yoga.
Yeah.
But when I came back to the United States and started working in this busy cardiology practice in Palm Springs, I was back to eating from the vending machines, and whatever improvement I've had experienced in my symptoms came back with a vengeance.
Really?
And it was at that time that a friend of mine came to visit me, who I had seen 10 days before in his usual state of anxiety and redness in the face from inflammation, and disaster, with allergies, with a cough, with all kinds of issues. And
Yeah.
when I opened the door 10 days later, this was a different human being. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened to you? Did you get plastic surgery or something? He
Mm.
said, no, I went to a detox center, and I didn't know any better. So I said, I didn't know you were into drugs. And he said, no, not that kind of detox. I said, well, what kind of detox other than that is there? So he said, come with me and I'll show you. And so he took me literally 10 minutes from where I was living in the desert to a center where they did detox programs. They put people on liquid diets, and they did colonics, and they give them probiotics, and there was a
Oh,
little bit of meditation.
like a cleansing
Yeah,
kind of detox. Okay.
cleansing and detox. Yeah.
Okay.
And everybody that I met there, all the guests that were staying there when I arrived, I started talking to this one and this one, and one of them had completely reversed their diabetes. Another one had completely reversed their allergies. Another one had gotten off the medications from depression. Another one had survived cancer for 10 years, longer than what they told that person that they were going to live. And so I was kind of blown away.
Yeah.
And then I met the owner, who had a very interesting story of, who had become sick herself, and they wanted to cut 3/4 of her intestines, and she said no, and she started doing these things and learning from one and from the other, and then organically she started doing that for her friends, family, and then she opened up this place, and this place had become very, very well known all over the world, and people were coming there. It was full. So
Wow.
I spoke to her, and she happened to be from Argentina, from my neighboring country in Uruguay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got along. We hit it off immediately, and she started teaching me a little bit. And she said, "Listen, your symptoms, you can completely resolve them if you do my program." And I said, "Okay." So I did her program, and in 10 days, not only all my depression, my allergies, my irritable bowel syndrome had completely disappeared with no medication, but I looked and felt 10 years younger. So I was wondering, how come I wasn't taught this in medical school? So I jumped in head first, and I started learning everything that I could. It wasn't until I stumbled upon functional medicine, the Institute for Functional Medicine, that I really was able to explain what had happened in that place from a medical, biological, physiological, biochemical point of view.
Wow.
And I changed the way that I practice medicine forever. And then I started really learning and immersing myself in functional medicine and in detoxification. And then I started studying Ayurvedic medicine and looking into other forms of medicine.
Yeah.
And I created my own style of medicine healing.
Okay.
And then I started writing books, and
Yes. Would you mind?
here we are.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely amazing. And I wish that this was more, there was a bigger light on this. It's becoming more popular, kind of like what you said with we touched on with the meditation and, all of these different things, the natural healing of, oneself, right? Inside, outside, what you do. But can you highlight what this program that you engaged in that changed your, the depression and the irritable bowel syndrome over a 10-day period? The allergies, what would just someone listening to this right now, like, what is some of these types of details? And even from what as you touched on, you've created your own perspective and dialogue that you've put out in writing in your books. What is some of these special components of this natural way to heal yourself, let's say, that we didn't?
The body has an incredible intelligence, and it heals itself. You are born with that ability. If you cut your skin, there's nothing you need to do but keep it clean, and the skin will heal itself. This process of healing, this ability to heal, it's not only limited to the skin. It's all over your body and inside your body, right? So your body really only knows how to adapt and survive and heal itself. The problem is that because of the way that we are living, there are obstacles for that to happen, and there are things that are lacking. When you remove the obstacles and you provide whatever is lacking, everything corrects by itself. So basically, the detox program that I designed, called the Clean Program, is all about removing obstacles and providing what is lacking, and also understanding what is going on in terms of the body's energies. So what is it? Hold on a second.
Yeah, do your thing. I'd love for you to explain the Clean Program. I just was researching you. It's very interesting.
I'm in the middle of you can stay there. You can stay there.
How are you? Oh, is that your daughter?
No, this is my boy.
Oh, your boy. I see the hair. I can't see anything. Oh man, so cute. I'm waiting. He's telling me some good stuff.
So he's in England and he's about to go to sleep, so he wants a little company. And I'm in
we'll be 10,
Colorado.
15 minutes.
I'm in Colorado in the United States.
I was
Anyway,
going to ask you
so
where you are. It looks beautiful. I see something going on. Beautiful. But yeah,
what
tell me,
happens?
please,
What
the
happens is that
technical.
what are the obstacles? The obstacles are all the things that are ingesting and exposed to, all the toxins that we're exposed to, and the stress that we're exposed to. What are the things that are lacking? The good nutrients that are needed for the body to perform its functions, right? And in terms of energies, what happens to humans these days is that we are not designed to be eating and digesting all day long. And because we are eating and digesting all day long, this consumes so much of our energy that there's no energy left for the
Right?
body to do what it needs to do.
Wow.
So by reducing the workload of the digestive system, in replacing solid meals with liquid meals, by eliminating the foods that pose an obstacle, like sugar, dairy, gluten, coffee,
Too much
alcohol,
meats.
processed foods, right?
Yes.
By eliminating
Like,
those
what's this
and by
like fasting,
providing
right? Like
and
intermediate fasting?
it's not fasting.
Oh, okay.
No. Fasting is when you don't eat anything.
Yeah, I'm
This
saying like periods, like giving yourself long gaps between your meals so the body can actually just like rest itself and provide
well,
what it
that is part of why fasting works,
needs.
because you are reducing the workload of the digestive system. Now, in my program, and I have a program that I use intermittent fasting as well.
Okay, that's how you pronounce
But in my program, the classic program, the clean program, which is a 21-day program, by eliminating the trigger foods, by eliminating the toxins, meaning not eating anything that's man-made, that has additives and coloring agents and smelling agents and texturizing agents and all kinds of chemicals, by
it.
eliminating that, by replacing breakfast and dinner for liquid meals, you reduce the workload of the digestive system. And then you make sure that in those liquid meals and then in the one solid meal at lunch, you pack it up with really good nutrients, from plants, from right.
Natural, organic, right? I hear you. With none of these
Yes,
agents. I love the way
yes,
you word it. Yeah.
yeah. So that reduces the workload of the digestive system without needing to fast.
Oh,
And then the body starts doing its miracles.
wow. Very interesting. Let me ask you, as you're a professional, why is this not like very popular and highlighted? Because
Oh,
it's
it
not
is.
marketable.
It is very
Becoming more
popular.
popular.
It is very popular. It's getting more popular by the day.
Yeah.
But we are fighting a system. We are
Yeah.
fighting a system that runs billions of dollars, that people are invested in.
All these
That
commercials we see, we're fed this type of stuff because these companies make billions.
for me to be able to leave the practice that I was in,
Yeah.
right? And I was making about $500,000 a year on my way to make $1 million a year.
It's amazing. It's beautiful.
To go and practice in the way that I started practicing after that, when I left this busy practice, to making $25,000 a year. It's not easy. Yes, now there are full-on practices that do this kind of medicine, functional medicine.
Yeah.
But when I was starting, I had to leave this huge salary and this huge system and become like a rebel,
Yeah.
and start all over again, right? So nowadays it's a little easier because this is something that more and more patients are demanding, more and more people are looking for.
Yeah.
Insurances are starting to pay for these things because they realize that it's actually profitable for insurance companies.
As the demand increases, the supply will increase, right?
The supply will increase, and it's increasing, and more doctors are being trained like this.
That's
So
yeah, much respect to you for doing that and seeing this early, but more than seeing it, taking action on it. It's
well, I didn't really see anything. I was just following my what was in front of my eyes. I couldn't ignore the incredible results that I got. So I wanted to understand what had happened, And then I wanted to help people with the same methods, you know.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you, I want you to spend time with your son and with respect to your time too. So you then, when did you write this book? Because the book is so successful.
So I wrote 4 books. The
Okay.
first one was Clean, which describes, you know, how I got to the understanding of the processes of detoxification in the body. And I devised a method, the Clean program, which is a 21-day program. So that was my first book. I wrote it in 2009. It shot up to #1, New York Times bestseller, translated to 26 languages. You know, and it helped hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, right? Then later on, I wrote another book called Clean Gut, because later on I started understanding that detoxification alone doesn't resolve all the problems, because the toxicity of our planet, the stress that we're going through, ends up damaging our intestines, our guts, and from there, all the chronic diseases of the modern world are born. Everything starts in the gut. So I got to really understand how the gut works, how to fix it, you know, and repair it, and reverse most of the chronic diseases that exist out there. I've had many or some cases in which they were completely reversed through gut repair, right? Then I wrote a book of recipes to support the programs of detoxification and gut repair. And then my latest book is called Clean 7. It's a 7-day program that combines functional medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and intermittent fasting.
Wow. Very interesting. I want to look at all of them. I've heard of that one book that you started with, going into the 26 languages. I want to look into these other ones.
So it's Clean
Yeah.
Gut, Clean Eat, and Clean 7.
Okay. Clean. Okay. All clean. I love it. I love it. I naturally just am interested. I guess that's like we're touching on. It's becoming more and more of a bigger community that's interested in this, which I'm so happy about. Almost feel kind of like, how come I wish we knew I was into it so much earlier, but I'm rather young, so I have some time, and I'm happy that it's becoming more popular.
Yes.
You know, this is special, very special stuff, and interesting and very fruitful for everyone to know. So let me ask you a few other quick questions. You know, other than the books that you've written, which we just touched on, absolutely amazing, and congratulations on your success with these books. Very happy to hear that and know of it. What are there any other books that you'd recommend that would that you maybe like, or you'd recommend someone that's listening into this that likes this story that maybe they could look at and they may enjoy or find fruitful?
There's so many books.
So many,
right?
yeah.
So many. I mean,
What comes top to mind? Maybe one or
you
two.
have to be a little more specific about what subject you want me to recommend.
Similar
a book
to the
on.
subjects you're referencing, let's say gut cleansing, what you should be intaking, how to naturally heal yourself. Is there maybe any book in this particular category? I know there could be very widespread, but
Oh
maybe
my God, there's so many. It's
what's like the top? What's the top 1 or 2 or 3? I know I'm talking to the professional.
I can mention some authors. You know, you can look at the books.
Yeah, that would be great, because they all have a lot of bodies of work. I like that.
You could look at books by Jeffrey Bland, which is the creator of functional medicine. You can look at books by Joel Fuhrman. You can look at books by Mark Hyman. You can look at books, and then you can look at earlier books like Arnold Ehret and the Mucusless Diet. I mean, there's so many books. You just.
No, I love what you're saying. I love these names. Is there a few others? Because I'm gonna literally go look these up, and I know other people will.
There's Diana Minich. I mean, you caught me by surprise, you know, but
no, I love what you just said. I want to say even thank you right there, because those are gems. And they have a lot of work. I know I've heard of a few of them. So I appreciate
those are some of the books that I either learned from or talk about the same things that I talk about, but
yeah,
you know, with a different twist.
Yeah. So the last thought I want to ask.
And another really good author is Dr. Will Cole.
Will Cole.
Cole, C-O-L-E, Will Cole, and Dr. Josh Axe. Oh, another naturopath that's written amazing books.
Okay, beautiful. I want to ask you two more quick questions, again, with respect to your time and whatnot. I appreciate you joining me. Do you have a particular morning routine that you do every day you find that just creates a successful day or keeps you focused or energetic, aside from the way you're, eating and, the meditating, all of these thoughts we just touched on, which are all very, impactful beneficially, towards your day. But is there like a morning routine that you have that keeps you so focused and driven all of these years to be this productive and create these books and stay focused? No?
Not really. No, I
Okay.
go with the flow. Every morning is different for me. I travel a lot. Sometimes I'm with my kids. Sometimes I'm with patients traveling around the world. Every morning is different. This morning I started my morning with a steam bath and a clean shake.
That's it.
And it was an
I get
amazing
some interesting answers with this question. It's pretty cool. Some of them, there's these patterns, but even aside from a steam bath, do you meditate in the morning? Do you do any workout, like physical activity usually, or you read any of things like this, or you go with the flow in general?
I go with the flow, and for the last few months, I've been recovering from open heart surgery. I had a car accident that broke one of my heart valves, so I had to operate, so I'm not doing exercise intensely at the moment. I just walk, So
You're okay, because you seem perfect. You seem great.
I'm doing great.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, very interesting. And then lastly, I want to ask you this, Dr. Unger. Through the obstacles of life, like everybody has, you touched on, the depression and all of these things and the ways in which you figured out to assist yourself. What would you say, maybe other than these obstacles you touched on, let's say somebody that's going through a hard time, what would you say to them, as far as a way to get around that issue and not let the issue consume them? Because you seem to, of course, have found the way, you went to this monastery, you had that persistence and perseverance, rather, to go and help yourself. What would you say to someone that's listening to you right now? I guess, read books, consume and eat the right things, but is there anything else that maybe we didn't touch on that could be fruitful to someone listening? Like, I'm stuck, I have depression, I have also the irritable bowel syndrome, I have allergies, and I'm still having trouble finding the right, food for me, or the right help, the right guidance. My doctor doesn't know what to tell me. What would you say to somebody that's in?
So if I had the knowledge that I'm going to give you now, when I started getting sick and depressed and everything, it would have helped me so much. And this is part of what I learned in India, which really the most important thing is to learn to put yourself in the present moment, to become present. And it may sound easy, and or may sound a little bit too esoteric, or I'm depending on where what your experience is, but being present is really the most important thing, because when you become really fully present, and meditation is one way to train yourself to become present. When you're fully present, nothing moves you. The problems exist, but you realize that they're either going to be solved or not, and that worry and anxiety is not going to help.
Wow.
But that
you almost
can be
you repel the issue. You don't really absorb it, or you learn how to handle the issue, right? Being present.
I don't think repel is the right word. I if anything, is more like accept and see things for what they are, without the help or the worsening of the situation through your imagination and your fears and your interpretation, right? So becoming present and stopping somehow the automatic and mostly negative chain of thoughts, the monkey mind. That has been the most important principle in my life, the most important guiding principle in my life, and my most important objective to achieve is really to calm the mind and to become present. And every time I'm able to do that, my problems seem to get resolved one way or another much faster and much better.
Absolutely incredible. That was amazing. Be present. I love the way you just broke that down too. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing this time with us today with me. I'm going to share this. And here at the Billionaires Club and the Luxury Lifestyle Magazine, we're always here to support you. I love what you're doing genuinely. I think it's very special, very powerful, very important. So keep up all of the amazing work, and just know you have us. We're here to always show love and support. All right. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you for having me, and nice to meet you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Take care. All right. Enjoy with your son. Enjoy the rest of
Bye.
it.
Bye.
Take care.